Hello everyone, this is MC Deck Discussions and I'm OhBSmall, and this is essentially a follow-up video. It's a gameplay video, but it's essentially a follow-up video to the deck preview video that I did with regard to Jubilee. And I have modified the deck some since then. I'm not going to discuss what the changes are. I'm just going to show you the deck when I get to that part of the video, just so you know the exact deck I'm using here. And I'll do a video afterwards. I'll probably play against one or two other villains as well and continue to test the deck. And I'll discuss the changes, like I said, in a follow-up deck discussion video. All right, so with that in mind, let's get going on this right here. So I'm going to go over the setup, then share the deck real briefly just to show you what cards are in it. Not discuss the changes, but I'm hoping to see those changes come into play as this deck, as I start to play the deck. But I did play Klaw twice before making some more changes. So I beat him once, lost to him once, but I had kind of an insight as I was playing him. So let's see if those deck changes pan out. All right, so we have set up, search the encounter deck for the defense network side scheme and reveal it, shuffle the encounter deck, and then advance to stage 1B. So defense network side scheme is right here. Go on to stage 1B. When revealed, discard cards from the encounter deck until a minion is discarded. Put that minion into play, engaged with the first player. This is the minion that was discarded. Since it is a Masters of Evil minion, it meets my requirements for my house rule that a Masters of Evil minion has to be one that starts in play in the game for me. And then these are the cards that were discarded. I haven't checked them out myself. Oh, now that's kind of nice for us. Already have an advance over here. Under Fire is over here as well, Caught Off Guard, and Sonic Converter. So pretty nice cards to have discarded. Hopefully that ends up being in our favor. All right, and then the rest of the setup, when revealed, search the encounter deck and discard pile for the Immortal Klaw and reveal it, shuffle the encounter deck. So the Immortal Klaw is right here. Klaw gets plus 10 hit points, so he's going to go from 18 up to 28. And once we defeat the Immortal Klaw, those will disappear. Those extra 10 points will disappear, and it does give him an acceleration token. So this does set us up with a pretty decent challenge going into this game. And let's go ahead and share the deck real quickly, and then we'll get the game started. All right, so here's the deck. It's still called Fire and Flash with a splash of Grand Panache, although that's actually possible. I changed the name since you saw it last. 40 cards in it, aggression, and we have our 10 allies, the 9 that were added that we have in here right now: Angel, Beak, Colossus, Forge, Gambit, Nick Fury, Professor X, Triage, and White Queen. For the events, we have Face the Past and 3 copies of Multi-Talented. For the player side schemes, we have Keep Up the Pressure and Superpower Training. For our resources, 2 copies of Aggressive Energy and 2 copies of The Power in All of Us. Note the absence of any of the traditional double resources. For the supports, we have Moira McTaggart, the X-Jet, Utopia, and X-Mansion. And for the upgrades, we have 1 copy of Attack Training and we have X-Gene. The reason I did want to point out the resources is I meant to discuss why I have The Power in All of Us. So when I get to my post games deck discussion, I'll try to remember to discuss that in particular. All right, let's head over and get the game started. All right, let's draw up our hand size. She has a hand size of 6. And she has this Mall Rat ability, action, search your deck for the shopping spree player side scheme and put it into play. And we did not draw it, and it looks like we have a decent opportunity to get started here. So I'm going to keep what we have, and I'm going to use her ability right away. So let's get the shopping spree player side scheme and put it into play. So we're going to search here, and if we click on other, these player side schemes will show up, and we'll get shopping spree into play, and we'll shuffle the deck. All right, so shopping spree, threat cannot be removed from this scheme by heroes or allies. Has an alter ego action, exhaust your identity, remove 1 threat from here. Any player may trigger this ability. I am hoping to be able to use that ability right away. We'll see if that's viable. When defeated, the player who defeated this scheme searches their deck and discard pile for an item card and puts it into play. She has 2 item cards, both of which are really critical to making her function optimally. So I am hoping to get those into play, like I said, pretty quickly here. So let's see what we have. All right, so let's go ahead and exhaust her right here to remove one threat from Shopping Spree, and then we'll flip on over. And I'm going to play both Flash of Light and Firecracker. So let's make sure we get this set up decently. We need different resources to make that work. Okay, and Firecracker is the one we want to use aggressive energy for. All right, so let's start with Firecracker. So I'm going to use Wolverine and aggressive energy, both of which are wild. And aggressive energy has this hero interrupt on it. When you spend this card to play an attack event, that event deals 1 additional damage. So let's pay with Wolverine and aggressive energy, play Firecracker, and we're going to use Firecracker on Whirlwind. So that's going to deal 5 damage. And we did pay using 2 different resources. So those wilds, I would have, of course, chosen 2 different resources. And we stun the enemy. All right, so now he's set up to hopefully be defeated on our next turn. Okay. And then we'll play Flash of Light. So we use, oh, maybe we should have that extra protection here. I would like to use Flash of Light. Yeah, I think we will. We'll take advantage of the power in all of us as a double resource and Flash of Light. We'll play White Queen instead. So yeah, changed my mind there. All right, and then White Queen will thwart, taking a consequential. Thwart for 2 on the Immortal Klaw. All right, let's ready up and draw our hand size. Okay, that might be pretty good. All right, so the Immortal Klaw is still in play, so we would add 2 threat to the main scheme. Klaw is going to attack. We're going to let that attack happen. So it's an attack of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Pretty big attack. That leaves us with 4 hit points. All right, and then Whirlwind is stunned, so we will unstun him. And then let's see the encounter card and Armored Guard. All right, so who has toughness and guard. Okay, our turn. Let's see what we want to do here. All right, so what I'm going to do is attack with Jubilee to get rid of this tough status on Armored Guard. And then we're going to use Face the Past. Hero action, search the encounter deck, discard pile, and set aside area for your Nemesis minion and reveal it. So Nemesis minion is over here. We reveal it. Has a tough status and 4 hit points. Has this forced response after Nanny attacks you if you control 1 or more allies. Search the encounter deck and discard pile. Or encounter deck, discard pile, and set aside area for 1 copy of Lost Child and reveal it. I'm going to show you what that is too and why we want to avoid it. So Lost Child, when revealed, attached to the ally with the highest cost without Lost Child attached. Attached ally engages its controller, otherwise this card gains surge. So they would end up getting their scheme and thwart this, they'd have a scheme and thwart instead, but -1 to the scheme. But we obviously want to avoid that. So we want to, as much as possible, as quickly as possible, get rid of Nanny. All right. So now let's finish the rest of Face the Past. Ready your hero. And then draw 3 cards. And then you cannot attack the villain this phase. Remove this card from the game. So let's put that in the out of play area. There we go. All right, so now we have a lot of cards to choose from. Let's see what we want to do here. All right, here's what we're going to do. I'm going to try to hold on to Jubilee's coat. So I want to play Flash of Light. So let me put that over here so I can kind of arrange things. And let's put Firecracker over here. Oops, I accidentally attached those. How do I detach them? There, let's just undo. Okay. So we'll need 2 cards to play that. Okay. All right, so I'll flip those over. Okay. And then I would want to play Grand Finale. And I want to hold on to the coat. Okay. And so let's see. To play Grand Finale, I only have 2 cards here, but then I could use Jubilee's Like Totally ability. Resource, exhaust Jubilee, and generate a wild resource. and then I'd be able to play Grand Finale. All right, so let's do this. Okay, so I'm actually going to attack first with White Queen and get rid of this tough status, giving her a consequential. Yep. And then now let's play Flash of Light. Okay, so we use these 2 cards as resources to play Flash of Light. Remove 3 threat from a scheme, so we'll remove that from the Defense Network side scheme. And then if you paid for this card using 2 different resource types, confuse an enemy, we'll confuse Klaw. Boy, it might be worth still just getting rid of the Immortal Klaw instead. But no, I'll just use it this way. All right, and then we're going to use Jubilee's Like Totally ability, so as a resource, plus Multi-Talented and Blinding Flash. So that's 3 different resources to play Grand Finale. So we're going to do 2 damage to a character, so 2 damage there to an enemy. And then we use 3 different resources, so we're going to do 2 damage for each of those. For each different resource type you use to pay for this card, choose an enemy and deal 2 damage to it. So we'll deal 2 more damage to Nanny. So that's 2. So that's 2 so far we need, and then 2 damage here, and then 2 damage here. So that one will survive, right? So we did 4 instances of 2 damages all together. So this one's defeated, and that's it for Grand Finale. And then we're going to flip to our alter ego side, and we will ready up and draw our hand size. All right. Okay, so now we have both of these in our hands, okay, which isn't great timing for that to occur. Okay, so let's see. Now we still have the acceleration token out, so add 2 threat to the main scheme. Klaw is now no longer confused, and the Armored Guard schemes for 0, and let's get a new counter card, and we get another Armored Guard. All right, so let's see what we can do from here. All right, I'm kind of curious what we can get out of Gambit here, so I'm going to use the Power in All of Us plus the X-Jet, actually, and play Gambit. All right, so response after Gambit enters play, look at the top 3 cards of the encounter deck and tuck 1 under him so that only the boost field is visible. So let's look at the top 3 cards. So we can look at top X cards, and we'll choose 3. And here they are. So we have the Masters of Evil, Sonic Boom, and Advance. Ooh. Oh, that's less than ideal. So if we choose the Masters of Evil, so that he has 2, then this will be his boost card. So he'll scheme for 2. Oh, we're going to flip over to our hero side. Okay, but yes, so he would say scheme for 2, or I mean attack for 1, 2, 3, and then he'd get the advance and he'd get to scheme. Okay, so that's not great. Okay, how do we want to handle that? All right, I think I am just he's gonna obviously defeat this. I'm just gonna let that happen. So I'm gonna take the Masters of Evil as the card that's going to go on Gambit. Okay, so that means that when Klaw attacks, oh no, that works out. He's going to be attacking because we're gonna flip over to the other side. Okay, so then he'll get both of these as boost cards, and the advance won't be played. Okay, nice. And that'll be the second advance because we saw the other advance at the beginning of the game already in the discard pile. No, that puts us in good shape. All right, I wasn't thinking that through quite right. Okay, excellent. So we will keep the order there, and let's put this under Gambit. Okay, and then so now, let's see, let's rotate that. Okay, I'll just have it that way. So notice that there are 2 boost icons on that, and Gambit gets X thwart and X ATK, where it's the number of boost icons. So now he's a 2/2 ally. All right, so that's pretty good. Okay. So now let's see what we want to do here. Oh, I made a mistake in the way I played that, actually. I wanted to, hold on a sec. I didn't want to use the X-Jet to pay for it. I wanted to use one of these because I do want to exhaust Jubilee Jubilation Lee here, the alter ego, in order to get this shopping spree. Although things are kind of dangerous here for us. All right, we're going to risk it and hopefully heal up a little bit later. Okay, so I am, instead of using the XJet to pay for it, I want the sunglasses in with the ATK. Boy, threat removal is a little bit more. Yeah, okay, let's use the coat instead. So when we paid for a Gambit, we used the Power in All of Us plus this coat. Okay? Now, Jubilee is going to exhaust and remove this last threat here. And now we can choose an item and put it into play. This is the item we're choosing. Okay? And now Jubilee gets +1 thwart. So I'm going to use a threat marker for that. And then after you play a thwart, it has this hero response now. After you play a thwart event, exhaust Jubilee's coat and choose a scheme. Remove 1 threat from that scheme for each different resource type used to pay for that event. All right, let's go to our hero side. And we only have 1 card we can play after that, so we're going to play it. So we will now play this one. So now she also has +1 ATK, and this is exact same type of thing, but with regard to attack events. So we play an attack event afterwards, we exhaust this, then we can deal 1 damage to an enemy for each different resource type used to pay for that for that event. All right, so then, so now this can be, this has been defeated, so we can discard that. All right, and then what we'll do next is we're going to get rid of the Armored Guard, so we're going to attack it with Gambit, and then we're going to remove the last threat from the Immortal Claw, defeat that, and that defeats White Queen, and then that also removes 10 hit points from the villain's hit points because the Immortal Claw is now gone. So it goes from 28 down to 18. All right, let's ready up and draw our hand size. Okay. All right, add 1 threat to the main scheme. Claw's going to attack. We're going to defend with Gambit. Let's see. Yeah, he can do a lot of damage. So we're going to defend with Gambit. So it's 1. If this activation deals damage to your hero, exhaust your hero. Oh, right. I already knew this was going to happen. Okay. All right. So that's still just 1 damage, actually. I didn't even think about that. And then advance is going to do no more damage. So that's dealt 1 damage to Gambit. Okay. And then the Armored Guard is going to deal 1 damage to Jubilee, getting in a counter card. So we're taking a bit of a risk. Reveal your set-aside Nemesis minion. We've already done that. Okay, so can't do that. Reveal your set-aside Nemesis side scheme and put it into play. So there's the side scheme. And this is always terrible. When revealed, place 1 threat here for each different resource type on cards in your hand. So let's see, we have a physical, mental, energy, but no wild. So we add 3, so now it's up to 5. Okay. All right, and then shuffle the rest of your set-aside Nemesis encounter set into the encounter deck. So let's do that. Oops, accidentally put it right there. Okay. All right, so shuffle that. Let me do that again, just in case something strange happened. If your Nemesis minion does not enter the game this way, this card gains Surge. So it does gain Surge. Oh, and we get Radioactive Man. All right. Okay, now, I haven't actually checked out what's in our hand, so we at least have Firecracker, so we can deal a significant amount of damage here. So let's see. Yeah, and then now Superpower Training is a waste, so we can use that as a resource to get Angel out. Okay, all right, so let's do this. So we're going to use Plasmoid Energy to play Firecracker, and that's going to deal 4 damage to an enemy, so that's going to be Radioactive Man. Okay. And then we use 2 different resource types to do that, so we get to stun that enemy. Okay. But that's not going to, oh yeah, that will still matter right here. So after you play a thwart event, exhaust Jubilee's coat and choose a scheme, remove one threat from that scheme for each different resource type used to pay for that event. So we will then defeat Radioactive Man. All right. Oh, we have to exhaust this. Okay. Oh, let me switch those. It wasn't a thwart. It was an attack event. I like the attack to go on the left. So we'll exhaust that one. Okay. And then we could use these two to then get Angel into play. No matter what, this scheme is going to bust. All right. So let's see. Yeah, we'll use these two resources to play Angel. And then, Angel only costs 2, by the way, right? Reduce the cost to play Angel by 1 if your identity has the Mutant or X-Men trait, and Jubilee has the X-Men trait. Mutant trait on the other side, alter ego side. All right, so what do we want to do? We definitely need to make some headway on Naughty Children. Let's do that. I'm going to remove one threat from Naughty Children. And then I think the most dangerous thing at this point is really Jubilee has only 3 health. So let's go to our alter ego side and heal her for 3 with her recovery. All right, let's ready up and our hand size. Okay, that looks promising. All right. So, but this is going to happen right away. Add 1 threat to the main scheme. And it is defeated. When revealed, discard cards from the encounter deck until a minion is discarded. Put that minion into play engaged with the first player, then advance to stage 2B. So let's discard minion until we get a minion. Okay, that one's not too bad. Flip this over. All right. Now, Klaw gets to scheme. So for 2, plus 2 more is 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Armored Guard schemes for 0. Weapons Runner schemes for 1. Then we'll get an encounter card. And this card gains Surge. Place 4 threat on each side scheme. Oh, that's pretty bad. So now this side scheme's up to 8. If there are no side schemes in play, okay, the rest of that doesn't apply. So now we have 8 to get rid of, and then we have to get rid of this, start getting rid of threat on the main scheme. So let's see, do we have things that'll make that start to happen? We do. Let's see. Okay, yeah, I think we can make some headway here on that threat. All right, let's use Plasmoid Energy to play Utopia. And then we're going to, let's see. All right, let's go over to our hero side. And we're going to use Jubilee to remove 2 threat from this scheme. Okay. Oh, no. I didn't mean to do that. Take that back. Put the 2 threat back. There we go. All right. No, this is what I wanted to do, actually. I'm going to use her Like Totally ability to generate a resource, and also Nick Fury. And I'm going to play Beak. And then Beak comes in after you play Beak from your hand. Remove 1 threat from a scheme for each X-Men ally you control. We have 3 X-Men allies, so we're going to remove 1, 2, 3 threat from that scheme. And then what we'll do after that is we will attack with Angel to defeat Weapons Runner. And we're going to use Gambit to remove 2 more threat, and that defeats Gambit. All right, and, I forgot to do this. When Beak came into play, now we trigger Utopia. If each of your allies has the X-Men trait, you can increase your ally limit by 1. And that is true right now. And then response, after an X-Men ally enters play, exhaust Utopia and ready an X-Men character. Okay? So we did this, and we ready Jubilee. And then we are going to, I got some different choices here. All right, I take that back. I changed my mind about how I'm going to do this. So I actually am going to keep Nick Fury. All right, and instead, well, I'm going to say we used Forge. Okay. Oh, no, actually, let's say we use Triage. Okay. All right, so we're going to keep these two. Okay. And we're going to remove 2 threat from a scheme and remove 1 threat with Beak. And now Naughty Children is gone. Okay. All right. Good. Okay, let's ready up and draw our hand size. Okay, and we get Flash of Light. Not bad. All right. So, by the way, this is why I ended up bringing Utopia back in, and I actually have more allies too, so more X-Men allies. And that is because I want to more freely use Jubilee for her Like Totally ability. And with Utopia here, I can use her ability to generate a resource, to play something, and then get an X-Men ally in, use Utopia to ready her, and then either use her as a resource again or have her, attack or remove threat. So that's why I decided to make some of the changes that I did. Okay. All right. So as far as the deck is concerned, so that ends our turn, and it's back to the villain. So add 1 threat to the main scheme. Oops, did that backwards. Oh, I did it backwards twice. My bad. Okay, so put 1 threat on the main scheme. There we go. It's up to 6 now. And Klaw's going to attack. We're going to defend with Beak. And Klaw attacks for 1, 2, and then give the villain a tough status. Okay. And that does defeat Beak. Armored Guard attacks for 1, so Jubilee goes from 6 down to 5. Get an encounter card. And we get Weapons Runner, who has Surge, so that's going to get another encounter card. And now we get Melter. All right, well, we've got some things to try to get done here. Let's see what we want to do. All right, here's what we're going to do. We're going to use Jubilee's resource ability plus the Plasmoid Energy and Forge or Flash of Light. Yeah, and Forge to play Nick Fury and draw 3 cards. Okay, I knew we had to have, we've only played 1 multi-talented, so if you look at the events in our discard pile, we only have 1 copy of multi-talented here, so I knew we didn't have very many cards left in our deck, so multi-talented was due, right? We have 3 copies of it, so we should have another one over here we should have another one in the deck still too. And so I was kind of counting on that showing up. So, because I would like to get rid of Melter and maybe somebody else as well. So let's see what we can do here. All right, so first I'm going to use X Mansion to play X Gene. So now we have a resource generator for identity-specific events. Oh, for identity-specific events. I wasn't thinking that all the way through. If we're going to use multi-talented, we can't really do that. So let's retract that. All right, let's use Nick Fury to attack the Armored Guard, remove his tough status, okay, and take a consequential. And then I'm going to use, I really would like to get X Gene out there, but I'm going to use these 3 cards here, 2 wilds and then 1 other resource. So that means we did use 3 different resources to play multi-talented. Okay? And then, so we can, and one of them was the Aggressive Energy, which this is an attack event that's being played. So we get, that event deals 1 additional damage. Okay? So instead of dealing 2 damage here for the physical resource, we're going to deal 3. 1, 2, 3 to Melter. Okay? And then remove 2 threat from a scheme. 1, 2, and then heal 2 damage from your identity. 1, 2, she goes up to 7. Okay. All right, that uses this up, but it's both an attack and thwart event. So I'm going to leave it out for a minute because now we're going to trigger Jubilee's Sunglasses for the attack event. So that can deal 3 extra damage. So we're going to use that damage to defeat the Armored Guard. And then it is also a thwart event, so we're going to use Jubilee's coat to remove 3 threat from the main scheme. So that takes care of multi-talented. And then we're going to take Angel and attack for 2 and defeat Melter, and Angel is defeated. All right, let's ready up and draw our hand size. Okay, add 1 threat to the main scheme. Klaw is going to attack for 1 plus 2, gets these 2 cards. I don't think I ever mentioned the Forced Interrupt at the beginning of the game here. When Klaw attacks, give him 1 additional boost card for this activation. I use him so often that I know to do that, but people watching might not always know that. All right, let's defend with Nick Fury. So attacking for 1. If this activation deals damage to you, exhaust your hero, so we don't have to do that. And then plus 1, so that's 2 damage altogether, defeating Nick Fury. And then Weapons Runner attacks for 1, so we're down to 6. And there's already 1 encounter card. Let's get a second. Here's the first one. Okay, attached to Klaw. Klaw now has Retaliate, and we can get rid of this by spending 3 different resources. And then the next one, Klaw attacks you. If this attack deals damage, place 1 threat on the main scheme. It's clearly going to deal damage. You don't have to take the damage. It just has to be dealt. So I'm going to add 1 threat right now so I don't forget. And so he's going to attack, and we are going to have to defend to play this safe. So let's defend for 2. So he's attacking for 1, 2, 3, 4 damage minus 2 is 2 points of damage. We're from 6 down to 4. All right, let's see what we can do from here. All right, we're going to play Professor X so that we can ready Jubilee. So let's use, let's see, multi-talented has flexibility. Flash of Light has the ability to, let's see, and he's down to 5 cards. All right, yeah, I think I'll hold on to Flash of Light. So let's use these 3 cards. Oh, no, actually, we'll get Shopping Spree in play. No, we don't need Shopping Spree anymore, really. So yeah, we're going to use it to pay. So we're going to pay with Shopping Spree, keep up the pressure, and multi-talented. Oh, we can get a card in play. Because this costs 0. Okay, so let's see. Yeah, so yeah, we'll hold on to this card. Well, we'll just play it now and put 2 threat on it. So just so you know what it says, when defeated, each player may search their deck and discard pile for an attack event, add it to their hand, and then until the end of the phase, each attack event deals 1 additional damage. So we'll save that for an appropriate moment. And then we'll play Professor X. So 1, 2, 3 resources to play Professor X. That'll trigger Utopia and allow us to ready Jubilee, although before that happens the forced response, and Professor X is going to use he's going to confuse the villain. All right, there we go. And then Professor X is going to remove 3 threat from the main scheme, and Jubilee is going to attack for 2 and defeat Weapons Runner, and we're going to go to our alter ego side. All right, let's ready up and draw our hand size, a nice big hand size of 6. Okay. All right, let's add 1 threat to the main scheme. The villain is confused, and get an encounter card. Surge and exhaust your identity. Darn, I was hoping to heal. Okay. All right, and then let's get the surge. Okay. All right, when revealed, attach the ally with the highest cost without Lost Child attached. Attached ally engages its controller, otherwise this card gains surge. Okay, so don't really like that very much. Okay, so we'll attach it here, and now it is a minion, and so he has, so read the top part now. Treat attached ally as a regressed minion with a blank text box. Attached minion's scheme is equal to its printed thwart, and it does not take consequential damage, but there is -1 to the scheme. So Professor X has no attack, but does have 2 scheme now. Okay. All right, and then it doesn't say anything about the damage going away. So I'm going to leave the damage on him. Somebody can mention if they know whether that's supposed to happen or not, but I'll leave the damage on him, so should only have to deal 2 more damage to him. All right, back to our turn. All right, let's go to our hero side. And we're going to play Forge. So we'll use this Power in All of Us to play Forge. And after Forge enters play, search your deck and discard a pile for an X-Men or X-Force support and add it to your hand. And just so I don't forget, I'm going to trigger Utopia and ready Jubilee, since Jubilee is an X-Men character on the hero side. So now let's find that support. So let's check here first for supports, none in the discard pile. Now let's check the deck for support. And we have the X-Jet as X-Men in that, and also X-Mansion. I think I'm going to use X-Men here. X-Mansion, rather. Shuffle the deck. All right. And then let's see what we want to do next. All right. I'm going to use Forge to knock the tough status off here. Oh, he has Retaliate. Hold on. Hold on. That's right. Ooh, he has Retaliate. All right. What we're going to do is do 3 different resources. So we'll use a Wild with Jubilee's Like Totally ability. We'll use an Energy with Superpower Training, and then we'll use we'll use X-Mansion. All right, so that's 3 different resources, and now we can get rid of Retaliate. Okay. All right, and then we'll attack with Forge, who takes 1 consequential and gets rid of this tough status. Okay. And then we're going to use Firecracker here. So let's attack with Firecracker using 2 different resources, by the way, guaranteed because Grand Finale is a Wild. Okay. Deal 4 damage to an enemy. So we're going to do 4 damage to Klaw. Finally dealing damage to Klaw. That was a long time before we dealt any damage. So 18 down to 14. And we paid with 2 different resources, so we will stun Klaw. Okay. But then that is an attack event, so we will trigger Jubilee Sunglasses. And it was 2 different resources, so we'll deal 2 damage to Professor X, defeating Professor X. All right, and let's ready up and draw our hand size. Okay. Add 1 threat to the main scheme, and Klaw is stunned. Get an encounter card. So that delays the encounter deck at least finishing up yet. It only has 2 more cards left in it, so we're going to get an acceleration token soon. So we better start dealing some serious damage. All right. So attach the minion. Oh, man. I guess these were due. Let's see. Attach the minion. Oh, to the minion with the fewest remaining hit points. Otherwise, this card gains Surge. Okay, so there are no minions. Okay, so that card goes away. And it gains Surge, so let's Surge. Okay, Illegal Arms Factory. When revealed, place 1 additional threat here. So there are 4 threat on this, and we'd better get rid of it because it's going to give us an extra encounter card. All right, let's see what we want to do. All right, let's thwart with Jubilee to remove 2 threat from Illegal Arms Factory. And then we will use the Power in All of Us to play Triage. And that will trigger Utopia. I'm going to do that now. And then this response after Triage enters play, heal 2 damage from an X-Men character. We're going to heal 2 damage from Jubilee, bringing her from 4 to 6. All right, now let's decide what we want to do next. All right, let's use Jubilee's Like Totally ability to generate a resource, plus Plasmoid Energy to play a Blinding Flash. A little bit of overkill here for just 1 enemy, but choose X enemies where X is the number of different resources types used to play. We use 3. Stun and Confuse each shows an enemy, so we're going to stun and confuse Klaw. All right. And then we will use Triage and Forge to get rid of the rest of the threat on Illegal Arms Factory, defeating that. And Forge is defeated. And then we will go, let's see, there's only 1 card remaining in the deck, so it can't be an advance. Yes, so we're going to go to our alter ego side, ready up, and draw our hand size. Oh, terrible timing for that. Okay, all right, but we have a little bit of setup there, so that's not the worst that could happen. Okay, let's add 1 threat to the main scheme, and Klaw is no longer confused. Get an encounter card, and that final encounter card gains Surge. Oh, we could potentially lose this if we get the worst card, if we get an advance right now. So let's see the Surge. Discard one card at random from your hand. Well, I know what card I definitely don't want to discard. Let's see what happens. So Shift X will discard a random card from our hand. And it was White Queen. That was the card I did not want to have discarded. All right. Okay, so, but we survived that. And now we have to be careful about the advances once again. Okay, so for sure we can get X Gene into play. So we're going to use one of the aggressive energies to get X Gene into play. So we finally have that. And then we've got a ton of resources in our hand that are useless to us right now. Let's see, he's stunned. Oh, we could keep up the pressure and deal a bunch of damage to Klaw. Okay. All right. Yeah. So if that's the case, why don't we heal Jubilee just to keep her safe? No, she's going to take care of keep up the pressure. Yeah, let's flip her over. She's going to remove 2 threat from keep up the pressure. And now we can search our deck for an attack event. Deck and discard pile for attack event, add it to our hand. So let's look at our events, and we can grab Grand Finale. All right, yeah, we're going to start to do serious damage here. I don't want to waste more time on that. Okay. All right, so keep up the pressure. Okay, so until the end of the phase, each attack event deals 1 additional damage. All right, so let's put that in the victory display. Okay. All right, and then let's use the X Gene. Well, that's kind of a waste, I guess, right? We want our aggressive energy. No, I guess we'll do that. We're not gonna, let's see. If we do, we could do 3. If we do aggressive energy, we can do 4 times for 12 damage. Yeah, we might as well max that out. Okay, so let's do it. So we're going to use this wild for aggressive energy, which is going to add even 1 more damage. So it's going to be 4 damage for each one. Is that overkill? So 4 damage, 4 damage. So that would be enough damage to defeat him. He'd flip over, and then we can do some more damage with this, and we'd have him a little bit on the ropes. Okay, let's do it. All right, so we're going to use this plasmoid energy here, plus aggressive energy. So now Grand Finale is going to deal another extra point of damage. So first it's going to deal 4 damage to an enemy. Okay? So 4 damage here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 14 down to 10. Okay? And then we use 3 different resources. So we're going to do 4 damage 3 more times. Okay? So if we do it 2 more times, that brings it down from 10 down to 2. Okay? And then the final time defeats him. Okay? So now he's defeated. So he flips, he's defeated. Now Klaw comes out with a tough status. Okay? All right, and 22 hit points, and he has still the same Forced Interrupt. Okay? But we just played an attack event, so Jubilee's sunglasses can be used to deal basically 3 damage, removing this tough status. Okay? So now, if we can pour on the attack here, we can finish this game up. Okay? Although 1 advance and we lose this game too. So that is also problematic. So we want to accelerate this, but we better remove some threat here soon. Okay? All right, let's ready up and draw our hand size. Flash of Light, very helpful here. So definitely want to be able to use that, or, well, actually Beak could also help, or Gambit. So yeah. Oh, but yeah, Flash of Light will confuse the enemy. Yeah, that's what we would like. All right, so add 2 threat to the main scheme. Klaw is stunned, so let's unstun him and get an encounter card. And he schemes. We are guaranteed to lose. Well, that's a bummer. So that's 3, 4, 5, and the main scheme is defeated, and we just lost. All right. Okay, just when we were ready to make some, like we were about to make some progress on that, we were going to confuse him, remove the threat. We were about to be set up to really go at the enemy, but Klaw, ended up winning this right at the end there. All right, so I hope you enjoyed this gameplay. It was still a lot of fun despite the loss right there at the end. I could have played it a little safer, and the way I could have done that was, instead of choosing that event that I did choose, I actually could have chosen a multi-purpose. So if I had chosen a multi-purpose, I wouldn't have done as much damage. I could have done, 6 damage, 7 damage altogether, I guess. So I couldn't have done as much damage, but I also could have removed all that threat and I would have been safe. That would have been a better play. If I wanted to keep things safe, I had triage to defend, plus playing a multi-purpose would have healed Jubilee up some, right? So that would have been a better play, and I probably would have then been setting myself up to win the game thereafter, especially because Flash of Light we had in hand, so we could have used that to be able to confuse the enemy. So we would have been set up pretty well there. I got a little greedy, right? That's that gamer greed that I've heard talked about on a Winning Hand podcast. And so I got a bit greedy, didn't play it safe, and paid the price for it. All right, have a good one, everybody. We'll catch you next time. Be sure to like and subscribe if you appreciate this kind of content. And if you make comments, I always reply to people. So if you wish to, go ahead and do so. Talk to you later. Bye.